welcome back to a new episode of Ask an Adventurer. First question today. Is it possible to be a working adventurer without brand partnerships or promotion on social media? And question 2 from the same person. How much of influencers' brand promotion stuff do you reckon are fake? They don't actually like the stuff that much. So, I'd say it's not possible to be a working adventurer without income. How much money do you need to earn per year, and how are you going to get that? So there's several ways you could do it. Take Paul Ramsden, the best mountaineer you've probably never heard of. He's won the PLA d'Or, the Golden Ice Axe, it's like the Oscars of the climbing world, a ridiculous 5 times, like the Lionel Messi of climbing. You've never heard of him because he's some sort of boring health and safety consultant. Well, he's not boring, he's hilarious, but his job's fairly boring, but he does amazing adventures with no interest at all in self-promotion. So yeah, it is possible, but if you don't want to do that, you've got to find some way that you're going to earn the cash. And it's quite hard to earn cash from many things unless you've got some sort of audience. So I earn my money from speaking. I get booked for talks because people have heard of me speak before, I guess, and then ask me back to speak. I earn some money from books because people have heard about my books and buy them. And then I earn some money from sponsorship companies because I've got a certain number of people on social media who follow what I do. Please click like and subscribe below. From your experience, how much of influencers' brand promotion is fake? They don't like it much. I think fake is a strong word. Well, let me not talk about other people, I'll talk about myself. So, I don't really do it much now, but for a bunch of years I did quite a lot of, essentially, adverts for other companies. And I would never do an advert or a promotion for a company that I really strongly disagreed with. I just wouldn't do those. But I did sometimes say, nah, this isn't really quite for me. And then they said, well, we'll pay you this much. So I'm like, oh yes, maybe that is for me. So there have been times when I've sucked it up a bit to get some cash for something that wouldn't necessarily be my pride and joy. But never anything that I actually really disagree with. There's a few things which in hindsight, which I've advertised, I certainly wouldn't advertise today, as my morals and money balance and those sort of things change over time. But not full on fake, certainly not for me. When you lie awake in bed, what thought most occupies your mind? Oof. I very rarely lie awake in bed. I generally close my eyes and I'm fast asleep, and then I wake up and it's the morning, so I'm pretty lucky. But we'll go with that as a metaphorical type question. I think what churns me a little bit is when I feel I'm wasting my time. Like, come on, stop wasting your time, stop wasting your potential, come on, keep going. So I'm not nearly as ambitious as I used to be, but I still don't like wasting my time. What's the one thing you'd say to anyone who scoffs when you say you want to make a living doing adventures? Wow. I think I'd say 2 things. One is, you need money in life. We all need a certain amount of money to just pay for life. And we also need to give sensible thought to how we're going to fund our lives beyond our earning years. I.e., not only do you need money for today, you need to start saving money for a pension. Really boring answer, but if you haven't got a pension yet, you need to get one. Sign up for Vanguard and get one of their pensions. Don't pay a financial advisor, just get an index fund from Vanguard and start saving. So I would say anyone who's scoffing, I would at least acknowledge to them that, yeah, it's nice to try and make a living from adventures, but you have to actually make it a living, otherwise you're just playing a game. And then I would say to them, if you can make a living doing something that you also enjoy and which also hopefully is making the world a better place than if you weren't doing that work, then you should definitely chase that with great enthusiasm and determination. Go for it. Here's one again that says not a question. I like the not a question ones. Not a question, Al, but I love your transparency of the battle between adventuring and family obligations. It's one I've faced too. I'll be 47 this year, but I feel no different than when I was 27. More experienced and wealthier, yes, but I still have the wanderlust agitating me every day, week, month to jack it all in and go away travelling. Maybe it never leaves those of us that are made that way. We just need to find a way to morph the adventures into daily life. I think I maybe might have written that entire comment myself. So good, I'm glad I'm not alone on that. The next question then, so this it's interesting that came up because I just skipped two questions. One was, and I didn't answer them, one was, how do you balance adventuring with family? Would you be willing to tell us about family? And then the other question was, actually, the other one's different, so I'll do that one first. I don't like talking about my family because I feel like I've got two separate lives. I've got my work life, which is Adventure Al talking to himself in the shed in the hope that you might one day buy one of my books and earn me a few pennies, or that you might listen to this and then go do an adventure yourself, and then that would feel worthwhile. So there's like my adventure life, and then there's my real life, which is the same as everyone else's real life. It involves stuff like getting a puncture fixed on your tyre, buying more Rinseed, dealing with annoying family issues, all that sort of stuff, which I don't know, for me it's just separate. Some people have, some adventurers put a load of their family stuff on Instagram. I keep the two militantly separate. How you balance the two? Well, micro adventures is the short answer, and the longer answer would be my book, My Midsummer Morning, I think. But yeah, we'll go with micro adventures for now. Here's a good question. How do you think your adventures and your approach to adventure would have been different if you were female? First of all, I think the adventuring world is fantastic place for women. There are loads of women doing loads of cool stuff, and since I started adventuring, I've noticed that just grow and grow and grow and grow. And there are some areas like, say, ultra distance running or wild swimming, which just seem to become ever more female dominated, and I love that. It's brilliant. It brings some joy and levity and decency to the world, so I'm a big fan of like that. So in that sense, I certainly think if you want to be a career adventurer these days, it is to your advantage to be a woman, not a bloke. And I say that not in any sort of resentful way, but as an encouraging way, that this is a good time to go do that sort of stuff. It's great. Then I suppose out into the actual adventures, there's two aspects. I'm going to get told off for something I say in this answer will get me in trouble, and I apologise in advance. But there's a couple of aspects to being a woman and going on adventures. One aspect I see as being wilderness adventures, in which case I think women have absolutely no disadvantages over men. Climbing mountains, rowing oceans, stuff like that. Great. Tough women can do that equally as well as tough men. The place where it is definitely different is more travel related things. So cycling around the world, walking across the country, places where you're going to interact with other humans. And the negative side, I'm very sorry to say, is that it probably is more dangerous for women, just because men are idiots. Men are stronger, but men are just idiots and do horrible stuff in the world. So I think there is an added security risk for women, for which I can only apologise. But having spoken to lots of women who've been on big adventures, like cycling across continents and things, I also know there's a fantastic aspect of welcome to communities and families that comes in a different way to, say, when I do it. Also, in some parts of the world, you get access to the women's side of family life in a way that men don't. So, for example, my friend Leon McCarran, he travelled the length of the Tigris River, read his book, Wounded Tigris, with his expedition partner, Emily Garthwaite, fantastic photographer. And when they would get to places where they were going to stay in Iraq, Leon would get taken off to the men, and they would just sit around and talk about football till about 4 o'clock in the morning, and Leon would be exhausted. And then Emily would go off and see the women and just have a really nice, lovely time with the women of the community, do really lovely stuff, get a decent, sensible night's sleep, and just felt that was great. So there's pros and cons, differences, but I think it's a lot more positive than an outsider might imagine. If I've got that wrong and you're a woman adventurer, please let me know. I would love to amplify your perspectives. You know what, sometimes I think I should probably prepare this rather than just trying to look at the questions as we go. How much time do you spend writing in your shed? What's your shed, family, adventure, other ratio? Well, I generally take my kids to school and then I work until they get back from school. And then in the weekends and the school holidays, I essentially do no work. So that gives me whatever school days, which are short, and school holidays, which are long, around which to base the other side of my life, my work side of life. So generally on a normal day, I'd spend a few hours working away at my shed, trying to do some writing and then do some admin and organising and marketing and promotion and invoicing and all the sort of worky side of things. Over the last year or so, I've been getting out at least once a week for about half a day to explore one local grid square, which I've been putting together into my new book. My new book. And then actual big adventures, I haven't really done any for a while because I've been exploring locally. But I got asked earlier about the idea between whether you should give up a well-paid job in order to be a professional adventurer, and I would just really caution that if you enjoy following someone's adventures online, bear in mind that they probably spend considerably more time sitting behind a desk showing off about their adventures than actually out in the wild. Right, thank you very much for today's questions. Excellent questions. If you have any you'd like to ask in a future episode, click on the link and ask me some good questions.